excited to have you here in our virtual world. My name is Jeff Norbert. I'm the Assistant Dean for Student Engagement and New Student Programs. My focus here on campus is co-curricular life, social life on campus, orientation, onboarding of our new students. I'm directly connected with our student advisor program, which is both our orientation staff and our students that are connected to our first year seminar program. And I'm also one of the 4 deans that live here on campus. So I actually reside and I'm on campus right now with my family. If you ever come to campus, look out for my little boys on their bikes. They're flying through campus. And so we're very much ingrained in this campus. My wife helps coach the field hockey team. So Conn is really a big part of part of my family's life. So I'm so excited to have you here. I'm going to turn it to my colleague Anne to allow her to introduce herself.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Anne Shank. I'm the Assistant Director of Student Support in the Dean of the College Office, and I work specifically with Dean Morash, the Dean of First Year Students, to support first year students. So my role in this job is just to be a resource person to first years as they transition into college work, all things first year, academic, social, all things related to adjusting to the first year of college. So we are very accessible to the first year students as they enter, both Dean Morash and I, because there are 2 of us who are focused entirely on first year students. I'm also a staff advisor in the first year seminar program and work with other staff advisors in that regard. You'll hear more about our first year seminar program as the panel progresses. I've been part of the Connecticut college community for many years. I first started back in the 90s as part of the dance department. I was a visiting professor there. And then as my career evolved, I spent some time working in the writing center here at Conn, and also spent some time away from the campus working in area elementary schools as a reading specialist. So I have a lot of different ways that I'm connected in with the learning process and with the local community. And I've been working in the Dean of the College Office now for a year. So that's a bit about me. And I guess we're going to have our panelists introduce themselves. True, Dean Norbert?
Yes. Thank you, Anne. So tonight we really hope to paint the picture of what makes Conn so special, particularly in the first year. And, I think what really makes our college and community stand out is our really wonderfully talented students. And you've got 3 of the best right here. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves. They're all smiling right now. So I will start with Ben. Ben, do you mind introducing yourself?
I'd love nothing more. So weird that I can't see everyone. I'm Ben. I'm from Westwood, Massachusetts, so just a little bit outside of Boston. I'm a senior here on campus. I'm a government major with minors in finance and applied statistics. And outside of the classroom, I'm the captain of our club hockey team and also the captain of our ski team. I'm an admissions fellow, and I'm on our honor council.
Thank you, Ben. Priyanka?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Priyanka Ramchurn, and I'm a senior here at Conn, so class of 2021, and I'm going to graduate next year. So I'm also an international student. I am from Mauritius Island, which is a small island in the southern part of Africa. It's like 30 hours away from the United States. And I am an international relations and an economics double major, and I'm minoring in finance as well. And on campus, I am a house fellow in Lambdin House with only first year student, which is very exciting. And I'm also a fellow at the Walter Commons Office for Global Studies and Engagement.
Thank you, Priyanka. To be clear, folks, House Fellows on our campus are the equivalent of, we've got 4 governors and House Fellows, which is our residence life staff. So thanks, Priyanka. And last but certainly not least, Megan.
All right. Hi, guys. My name is Megan Dillon. I am a junior at Conn. I'm from California, so pretty far away, but Conn is my new home, so very happy to be here. I'm on the women's soccer team. I was a student advisor last year, and I am a member of the Student Athletic Advisory Committee on campus. I'm a human development and art double major, and government is my minor, so a lot going on.
Yeah, very busy students. And so thank you all for being here tonight after a full day of classes. So I think to start the panel off, we've got prospective students watching tonight going through that search process of trying to find a community that fits them and a place that makes them feel like home. So when you all were searching for, a place to spend your 4 years, what was it about Connecticut College as you were going through that process that really kind of called you to know that this is the place that you wanted to be? So whoever wants to go first.
You go.
Okay, I'll go.
Go ahead, Megan.
I'll go first. So when I was looking at colleges, I started looking at kind of every size school, and then came to Conn and fell in love with the small campus and the small community. I love the fact that I can go around campus and know a ton of familiar faces, say hi to people. People know who I am, I know who they are. It makes me feel like I'm part of a community and that people care and are excited to see me, and I'm excited to see them. So that's one of the reasons I chose a small school. I also really like the small class sizes. I think I would be very distracted if I was in a big classroom in a big lecture hall all day. So getting to see my professors one-on-one, talk to them, know my classmates, know my peers, is something that was extremely important to me and why I ended up going with Conn. I also love the soccer team that I got recruited. So that was a huge reason why I also came, but this team is also a representation of like the whole school and how close-knit and like a great community. So yeah.
Thank you, Megan. Ben?
Yeah, so for me, I like to talk about it. There were sort of three things why I chose Conn. The first one sounds a little bit weird when I say it out loud, but I wanted a place with a lot of green spaces. I wanted to, like, when I walked around campus, vision myself throwing a football or baseball or frisbee, whatever it was, like outside on the quad. That's the sort of the idea I had of college coming in. And when I came to Conn, I don't know if any of you have had the opportunity to come to campus. I can't even see anyone shake their heads or nod or whatever because I'm just looking at the panelists. So, but when you come to Conn, we're actually a 750-acre arboretum. So there's a lot of green spaces. There's a huge green. And when I got here, that was kind of one of the things I could cross off the list. The other thing, I wanted a competitive but collaborative academic environment. So for me, what that means is competitive. I wanted a place where my peers were smart, cared about their work, and were super engaged in what they were doing, but collaborative in the sense that just because like Meg and I were sitting in the same econ class, she wouldn't help me with my work because she had to do better than me on the next test. And the best example I think I can come up with of how I found that at Conn, I took an econ class with a professor here who split us all up into teams, and she liked us calling her coach, and we did all the problem sets in teams, and she was our coach. So my emails were literally, "Dear coach, like team 6 has a question about XYZ problem set, can you help us out?" And then the third thing, I wanted a school that had a lot of school spirit. I was excited about going to college, just as I'm sure all of you are. And when I came to Conn on my tour, the soccer team was playing down on the green, and it was fall, and like this thing was banked with people. And then the tour guide started talking about like how the club hockey team sells out a Coast Guard game. And I was like, why would anyone want to watch a bunch of like club hockey guys muck around on the ice? But it turns out that a lot of people do care and a lot of people do come. So I think that's kind of my example of the school spirit, a lot of green spaces and a competitive but collaborative academic environment for me.
Thanks, Ben. And you can certainly say that because you're one of those guys that is now mucking around on the ice. So, Priyanka?
Yes. For me, I had a completely different experience because I'm an international student, obviously. So I did not have a chance to come to Conn to visit the campus. So what I knew of Conn was what was on the internet, like the website and also all the pictures that I saw. I was watching a lot of American movies when I was back home. And so the whole idea of me like going to college or university would be like this really huge institution with like thousands and thousands of kids, like 10,000 students together. So when I came to Conn, it was very different. It was very, like I came like a few days before the actual moving days because we had an international student orientation. So it was very different. It was quiet. There was like no one on campus. So very different from what I imagined. And to be honest, it was very hard to adapt at first. But now, after spending 3 years at this college, let me tell you, like Conn is such an incredible school. I really like it. And I really like the way, because we are a very small community, And for example, like right before this meeting, this panel, I had a meeting with Dean Singer, who is the dean of the college, and we just had like this 30 minutes quick check-in coffee meeting, like obviously virtual because of the pandemic. And it was just so nice to, like, because Dean Singer knows me a lot and a lot of deans here knows me. So like just having this very close relationship with your deans and professors is just amazing. And most of my professors know me too. So like it's really, really nice when you're like in a small setting, small classroom, like to discuss with your professors and just like have tea or coffee. And sometimes some of my professors would take me out to dinner or lunch. For example, I remember in my first year seminar, my FYS, where I had my professor. She was from Africa. She was from Liberia, and I'm also African. I'm from Mauritius. So we bonded about, you know, just on our background and stuff. And then I remember how, like, I was the only international student in my FYS. It was a class of 10 people, and I was also the only student of color. And she was a woman of color too. So we bonded a lot. She would take me out to dinner every time. She would take me out on these shopping trips. She was the one who took me to buy my first coat for winter, because I come from a tropical island where it's summer all year long. So I never experienced winter in the US. I never saw snow before. So that was very interesting. And then she would always bring me at her house, meet her kids and her husband, and cook like African food. We'll eat together. So that was really amazing. And yeah, so.
Thank you, Priyanka. So thinking back, I know we've got 2 seniors and a junior, and it probably seems like a lifetime ago that you were in your first year, but you kind of put yourselves back to in your first year's shoes. What was it that really, maybe something you got connected with, or, you know, a connection with someone, but what was it that helped Conn become, you know, your place? Because, you know, you come in and you kind of have to get settled. So what was it that helped you feel connected here and made you really know that Conn was special to you once you got to campus? Megan?
I'll go. Yeah. So Ben just touched on that little day on the green where everyone was lining up on the, if you haven't been to Conn, our soccer field is in the middle of campus. So it's really special, very cool. And a lot of the school comes and lines the field during the game days. So I remember one day we had a huge game and I was so nervous as a freshman. I was playing, and I remember just like looking around and being so excited and feeling so at home and so just excited to be there. And like all my new friends had come and sat on the hill to watch, and I remember feeling really grateful, and just like I had made the exact right choice for where I needed to be. A lot of my friends at other schools were getting really homesick, and I remember just being like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, I feel so good here. I don't even know what homesick feels like. And for me, I should have felt homesick. I was so far away from home, but I never felt it. So that's kind of how I knew I was in the right place.
How about you, Priyanka? I know you have a little bit of a different story because you spoke to all of our first years at orientation.
Yes. So for me, it's obviously very different. I knew that Conn was the right place. Obviously, in my first semester of college, like I made a lot of friends here, and I did not know that would be the case because, so I'm an international student. I come from a very different place, different culture, different background. Everything was so different. So I can just like say I come from a different world. But when I came to Conn, I right away made a lot of friends, and all my friends, they were my flatmates, like my floor mates. And my roommate as well, and they were all white American students. And it was just so nice how they were really interested in knowing me, knowing my background, where I came from. And like they would always read about Mauritius, like every day I would tell them, and they would ask a lot of questions. That was great. And also, so I made my little group of friends in my first semester, but still like I was not like quite sure, because obviously I came from so far away, but there was like, you know, a lot of questions in my mind and stuff. But then, and especially, you know, like having this image of like a big college, big university, I was like, okay, like Conn is obviously small, but yeah. So during the freshman orientation this year, I actually had the the opportunity to make a speech about, called Camel Moment. So Camel Moment is like the moment you realize when Conn was the right place for you. So most students at Conn have their Camel moments in their first semester, like first years of college. But for me, it was not the case. I was telling the first years how I had my Camel moment, like about 3 to 4 weeks ago, when my best friend who just graduated and I walked into the new London tattoo parlor or whatever, and we got like matching tattoo, and guess which tattoo? In the form of a camel. So yeah, I really like it. And I actually just talked to like that friend like a few hours ago today. So just to tell you that you will make like incredible friends here, lifelong friends. So even if she graduated, I haven't seen her in like a month, we are still talking. We have our matching camel tattoos. And yeah, and that's when I returned back to Conn this day after getting my tattoo. I was like, yes, Conn is the right place. I'm like, I love Conn so much. But yeah, I think that was like one of the scariest thing I've done and the cutest thing I've done too. But yeah.
Thank you, Priyanka. And I'm assuming all of our prospective students know that we are the camels. We take great pride in being the camels. How about you, Ben?
Yeah, so honestly, kind of going off of what Priyanka said a little bit, I don't have matching tats with any of my friends, but I think what kind of struck me when I got to Conn and kind of going through my first year were how many friends I had that were seniors and that were older than me. Coming out of high school, pretty much all my friends were in the same grade. And kind of one of my first experiences at Conn, it was during orientation. I actually didn't have a roommate because like the kid had moved out. It was a weird scenario. I ended up getting a roommate like a week later, but I was there all alone, and my advisor like burst into my room one night. I was like, I don't know, pretending to unpack or like pretending to not have no friends or something. And it was like him and 6 other older kids. And they were like, Ben, and I didn't even know half of them. And they were like, you're coming with us. And they brought me down to like some orientation event. And we hung out there. And I guess kind of like going off of that, that was sort of like the first group of older friends I made. And then getting involved in different activities, how much the seniors kind of cared about me as someone who was younger and kind of bringing me up like through the ranks and figuring things out, I think was something that kind of touched me. And I remember after freshman year, I was worried that I was going to have no more friends because I felt that all my friends graduated. But luckily, I've got some more, not too many, but just enough.
Awesome, thank you all. I've heard, there's a lot of comments, and you hear it consistently throughout our campus about being a tight-knit community. I think what makes Conn really special is the level of support and contact. So whether you're making friends, as Ben said, with upper class students, or being part of a team, or connecting with your international student advisor, like Priyanka mentioned, you've got folks here that are really taking great care. And that's I use the term community of care frequently. There's folks here that you will connect with that are looking out for you. So students, and I think, Anne, this would be a great place for you to chime in too with the work that you all do in the Dean of First Year's office and Dean of College office, is just highlighting maybe something that, the levels of support that are provided for new students. So, whether it's resources or something. So maybe one thing, students, that you've taken advantage of that has been of great support to you here on campus. And then maybe, Anne, why don't we just start with you too, if you don't mind, just talking a little bit about what the Dean of First Year's office does in terms of helping provide support for our students.
Absolutely, happy to chime in. One way that the Dean of the First Year's office really provides support for our students is through designing and overseeing the First Year Seminar program. Every student takes a First Year Seminar when they arrive in their first semester here. And the First Year Seminar professor is also the academic advisor for every student in that class. But along with the academic advisor, the First Year Seminar comes with a team of advisors that includes 2 or 3 sophomore students and a staff member. So right at the get-go, when you come to Connecticut College and you know what your First Year Seminar is, you're connected in with a member of the faculty, a member of the staff, and a member of the student, peer members of the student body who can be resource people for you. And what we find is that among that team, some students click best with the faculty members. Some students click with one of the student advisors. Some people turn towards the staff member as their main sort of person to go to for questions. Sometimes you want an adult to ask a question to who isn't the person that's grading you. Sometimes you really want to talk to the person that's grading you. So we try to just provide that broad base of connection for every student. Beyond that, though, I believe that our first year dean's office is remarkable in the amount of accessibility we have to our students. We're really kind of the first, we talk to students in orientation and say, you know, when you have a question and you just aren't sure where to go, you can start by asking myself or Dean Morash, and we can help you connect to the service that you need on campus, whether it's the Academic Resource Center, the Student Counseling Center, the Office of Engagement, depending on what is going on. If it's an academic need, a social need, an emotional need. Also, we're very familiar with the community, and we're happy to help you like know where to go to get your prescription filled, that kind of thing too. So while ultimately, as time goes on in your years at Connecticut College, you become more and more self-sufficient. In that first semester, first year on campus, it's really great to know that you have a lot of support underneath you as you get adjusted to life on campus. And so with that in mind, I would ask some of the panelists to talk about some of the support services on campus that you've found helpful to you.
Yeah, just going off of that, I really enjoyed my first year seminar. I love my professor, I had great advisors, and I met some of my best friends in that, and I'm still friends with them today. So that little support group was awesome coming in to have. I mean, I also had the soccer team, which was great, but this is a academic support group sort of, which is definitely something I heavily relied upon. I talked to my advisor all the time. He helped me figure out a lot of my scheduling. And then my student advisors were actually great as well. That's kind of, they didn't inspire me, but I wanted to become a student advisor the following year because I wanted to help the first years just as they had helped me. So I thought that was a really cool way to transition into my role in the following year. And I had a great time doing that. So yeah, I think that's one of the support systems that I've used the most at Conn. And then just my faculty, they've been great. They always are there to answer my questions and help me figure out and guide me through the courses and what I need to take to get to where I want to be. And yeah.
Thanks, Megan.
I can go. So for me, it's just like anything ranging from, my friends to the deans to the president of the college who I also met today while I was on my way to the testing center to get tested for COVID-19. So I would say Conn is like a really great place, and there's like a lot of support for students here. And if you're an international student, obviously you'll have the dean of international students and like all the whole international student community. But also for me, something that my biggest support system here on campus is the Walter Commons. And the Walter Commons is one of the newest office on campus. It's like the Office for Global Studies and Engagement. So it incorporates the Office of Study Away, the Office for Languages, and also CISLA, which is the Tool Cummings Office for International Studies. So I'm also a CISLA scholar. Some of you might have heard of CISLA, one of the biggest and most challenging and most amazing student centers, academic centers here at Conn. And all those mini offices form part of the Walter Commons. So I work there, and I've been working there for 3 years since I joined Conn. 2 weeks into college, they hired me, and I was so happy. But yeah, and I made all the stuff there, the stuff for the dean of global engagement and people who work in CISLA office, and also people who are fellowship advisors, even the director of the language center, they all know me on a very personal level. So that is very great. And whenever I have any problems or I have any concern or question, I would always turn to them. So yeah.
Thank you, Priyanka. Ben?
Yeah, I think mine's similar to Megan's. My first year, the student advisor in my first year seminar, we actually still talk regularly, pretty much every day. I talk with him about kind of his life after school, and we kind of go back and forth. And now I like to think that maybe I can give him some advice too, and goes both ways. But I guess because of that positive experience, I also, when I was a sophomore, became a student advisor. And then one of my student advisors, who's like friends with, we have like a nice, I just dropped a pen. We have a nice sort of like trickle down of student advisor families. So we've got like a grandpa, a father, and a child. And we actually now have a newborn as well. So it's big for us.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, to our students here, you're probably hearing that here at Connecticut College, you'll have not only an opportunity to make lifelong friends and an opportunity to connect academically with your faculty, but it's an expectation of our community. The students will help pull you out and help find you ways to get connected, help you kind of navigate. And our seminar programs that all new students take is meant to do just that. Myself, I've been a staff advisor for, I've been here, this is my 5th year, so 4 years. Every year I've been here, I've been a staff advisor, and this year I'm what's called a common experience facilitator. So all the new students on top of academics are getting kind of enrichment sessions that all the new students go through. So they're kind of themed around either maybe well-being or equity and inclusion or academic resources. I'm trying to think of them all, and engaging on campus. So there are all these experiences, and I would say that the seminar program, although many schools have seminar programs, ours is really deeply rooted in helping you connect, both helping you learn the skills you need to be academically successful, but making connections. And that's why our curriculum has that name. It's rooted in the FYS, and it helps you begin that kind of academic path, but also socially, and help you finding your connections there. So to my 3 student panelists, I think one thing I'd like each of you to mention briefly is you all have unique jobs that help students kind of find their way here. So Ben, I'm thinking honor council for you. Priyanka, your role in residence life, and Megan, your role as a student advisor. So could you just briefly bring to life a little bit of what those roles are and how they help and why they're so important with the new student? So Ben, I know that honor code and honor council was big in your first year and kind of as you were selecting Conn. So do you want to start?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I think, I guess to talk about the Honor Council, I have to talk briefly about the Honor Code. Otherwise, it doesn't really make sense. So we're one of 12 colleges nationwide that has an Honor Code. And sort of broadly what that looks like, it calls for mutual trust between faculty, students, and staff on campus. Not going to get into the nitty gritties because we could be here all night. But more or less when someone violates the Honor Code, so does something that they weren't supposed to do, instead of coming to a bunch of deans who maybe they don't necessarily know or who they don't feel like could relate to their experience, they come to a group of peers who they elected. So there's 4 representatives from each grade. The Honor Council is split in half. So we have hearings every week, and I would go every other week, for example. Students come, they sort of state their case, and then we talk amongst ourselves and what we think the action should be. And I think that the most important thing about the Honor Code and the Honor Council for me is that, like I kind of just alluded to, it's students holding students responsible. And I think that that's something more powerful when that kid Ben from your Gov class is sitting next to you, and then he's the one at the Honor Council instead of maybe Dean Norbert, who like you might not know on that personal level. And I think that it kind of makes students realize like, oh, maybe this is something that I should be caring about. And also like, if I come here, like Ben's going to kind of understand a little bit better where I come from. And I also think that there's some learning that happens when students come before the Honor Council and we get a chance to ask them questions as students and they get a chance to respond. And I think sometimes they come out of there being like, okay, I understand a little bit better what I did and why it was wrong. And going forward, I'm going to be better in X, Y, and Z ways.
Thanks, Ben. Priyanka, you want to talk a little bit about the role residence life has with first year students in particular?
Yeah, sure. So I am a real staff. So real means the Office for Residential Life. And I started to work as a floor governor, which is like, equivalent of an RA in my sophomore year. And I've done it in my junior year as well. And now as a senior, I got promoted as a house fellow. So the house fellow basically takes care of the whole house. And we have like floor governors on each floor helping us. So I really enjoy my time in Real, not because it gave me a lot of new skills. Obviously, I developed my communication skill. I'm an international student. I've never had the chance to speak English before coming Conn. So like, when I came to Conn, that was the first time me speaking English, but like having this role as a leader on campus and obviously being forced to speak English every day was really nice. And yeah, I've developed like a lot of skills, like leadership skills, communication skill, like a lot of interpersonal skills as well. And something that I really love about Real Office is that so as a real staff, you're responsible to organize events in your house and also on campus. So as a house fellow and as a floor governor in my sophomore year, I was organizing a lot of events around culture and around traditions and religion as well. So Conn, as you all know, Conn is a predominantly white institution, but we do have like a large and very diverse student body as well here. So I decided to use my role as a real staff to bring something new to Conn, something that like most people here or student and faculty here never saw before. So I decided to organize Diwali. When I was a sophomore, Diwali is the festival of lights. It's a Hindu festival. I grew up Hindu. So yeah, I decided to organize a campus-wide festival because I wanted all students to be on board, even if you celebrate it, even if you don't celebrate it, even if you know about this festival, even if you don't know about this festival. So that was like one of the best things that Real gave me the chance to do, to organize something that I really think would be amazing for the whole campus. And I did it. It was amazing. A lot of people enjoyed it. We organized that in our dining hall, our main dining hall, which is Harris. And there was like, we put lights everywhere, lights just like that everywhere. It was lit up. There was like music. It was just like a good time. It was a party basically, but yeah. So that was one of the really good experience being on Real staff, and everyone liked it. All the deans were invited. I think I remember you did, Norbert, being in Harris eating Indian food.
Yep.
So yeah.
I was there. Yep. How about you, Megan, the role of a student advisor and the role it plays with our new students?
Yeah, it's a really important role, just helping the freshmen come into school the first couple weeks. Student advisors, we got to campus, I think it was like, how many days, like 5 days early. And we learned how to be good student advisors, basically. So they took us through a ton of different things that we needed to learn how to do before the freshmen got here. And the freshmen come, and we basically guide them through orientation, make sure they're exactly where they need to be, there for logistics, moral support, all that sort of fun stuff. Freshmen are usually very confused during the first couple of days, so it's important to have student advisors kind of like check up on everyone. We have a group chat with our group, and we made sure everyone was in the right place at the right time. I think that was actually a big part of the role, just because everyone got all over the place because the freshmen don't know where the buildings are and all that sort of stuff. And then throughout the semester, we met with them once a week at the end of the week usually. And we were just there to talk and be supportive and help them with whatever sort of things they needed help with, emotional, social, academic. And we were all pretty prepared coming into the role because we had that 5-day orientation before. So yeah, it's a really, I think it's an important role just to help make sure the freshmen feel comfortable. And it's nice to have a person to talk to that's not a faculty member, just because that can be intimidating in the first couple of weeks and in the first semester too. Yeah, and I still talk to some of the but the first years that I helped. So I feel like that was an important role, and I'm glad I was able to help out.
Yeah. And they're all being very modest, but they're all really have played deeply impactful roles on other students' Conn career. So in a minute, we are going to start to do questions and answers. So again, you've got that ability to populate questions. I've been looking at them a little bit as they come in. So we will get there. So this is, I'm kind of giving everyone a warning that they can start to populate some questions in there, and I'd be happy to kind of throw them to the panelists. Panelists, I guess my last question for you before we turn it over for Q&A is, what's just one thing that you love to do on campus for fun?
My favorite is on a beautiful day, laying out on the green, and just hang out with my friends. It's the best. The campus is absolutely gorgeous, and it's picturesque. Everything's perfect, and yeah, bring some food out there, hang out there all day in between classes, and yeah, that's my favorite thing to do.
Thanks, Meg.
For me, it would be like just taking a walk down the river where the rowing people and the where people have practice basically. But like I try to go every week, and this is very amazing. Like the river is just incredibly beautiful, and like especially like coming from an island, like I grew up close to water, close to the ocean. So being near the river for me is just like, you know, it just reminds me of home, and I really like going there with my friends and taking pictures and stuff. So yeah.
Thank you, Priyanka. Ben?
Well, I was also going to say the green because I like it at night when I can look up at the stars, but Meg took that one, so I'll change mine. I like going to the free swim and jumping off the diving boards in the pool.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, so for the prospective students, if you haven't gotten kind of the hint about the beauty of our campus, not only is it an arboretum that you can literally at times feel like you're, you know, walking through somewhere that feels like you're in the Pacific Northwest or the Adirondacks. We're also the only NESCAC school that actually is has waterfront property. We're right on the water, so you can get to the river, and on beautiful days when Megan is laying out on the green, she can actually see the Long Island Sound. So you can also see the sound from our green. Many of our students take advantage of getting to the beach. I know Ben was trying to plan a trip with one of the clubs that he runs. He was trying to get the ski team and figure out ways to get there to the beach. So students go to the beach. And so outside and being kind of connected outside is a big part of who we are as a community. And, you know, it's something that is really, really special here on campus. I know even though we're in COVID and we've got some restrictions right now socially, last Friday, we had about 100 kids sit out and watch a movie on a Friday night. We had over 40 students take hiking trips we actually have a piece of property that's over on an island across the river. So we had over 40 students go hiking over the course of the weekend. So there's a lot of opportunities. So I see some questions are rolling in. I did see one about orientation that I will just quickly hit on just because that's right in my wheelhouse. So orientation for our new students, you will be connected from from May 1st when you decide that you're going to be a camel through the summer. You'll do an online orientation program. So we have a wonderful virtual program that allows you to kind of start to dip your toes in the water that we added last year. That was the new program. And so you'll do that piece, and then you come to campus, as Megan said, 5 days early, and you'll meet your student advisor staff and your residence life staff that have been usually preparing for 5 to up to a week before the students get here to greet you. And then there's a 5-day orientation period that's usually a Thursday, and our classes usually start on Tuesday. So sessions on everything and anything that you could think of that you would need to get you acclimated. So from academics to our honor code to what it means to live in a community. But we also do a lot of opportunities for students to just meet each other. And that's one thing since I've been here, we've really tried to pare down the schedule and allow things for students to connect. It's still busy, but it's not uncommon during orientation that there's yoga classes out on the green, or there's late night activities where students can go and have fun. Last year, when Megan was in SA last year, I think with our block party, we had a live band and students just hanging out on the green with live music and just kind of hanging out one night. So opportunities to connect socially, connect academically, connect with all of our co-curriculars as well. So that's what orientation looks like. The question around international students, they move in 2 to 3 days before our traditional first year move in. We usually give them a day to kind of acclimatize from whatever jet lag they're dealing with for once they get to campus. And then they have a specific program where our international students are connected with, as Priyanka mentioned, the student she was talking about was her international student advisor. So you connect with an international student advisor that kind of helps you get connected, and then they go into the orientation program. So So I think we will open it up to questions. So Riley, we're ready for you.
Awesome, great. I will start with one. There have been a couple questions about when Conn is opening back up to visitors. So I'll just address this really quickly from an admission standpoint. We are in constant conversation with members across the community about when it's going to be safe to open campus, just depending on the changing COVID situation, both for the state of Connecticut and for Connecticut College. So we don't have a date in mind yet, but we are having conversations about what that might look like in the future. But I can assure you that when we do know, we will advertise it everywhere. So you'll definitely know as well. So that is that. So we have one here. There's a couple similar ones here, so I'll try to consolidate. Oh, one really good question here. What makes Conn really different from other colleges?
I can jump in on that a little bit in terms of from the curricular perspective. One of the distinctive things about Connecticut College is our curriculum. You heard each student talk a lot about connecting, and the name of our curriculum is Connections. And it's a liberal arts curriculum specifically designed to guide students towards integrating academic disciplines throughout their 4 years. So yes, we do have majors, and by the end of your sophomore year, by March of your sophomore year, you will choose a major or majors that you want to concentrate and go deep into. But that only comprises part of the classes that you take. The rest of your classes will be distributed throughout other disciplines. And so we have 2 programs. One is the Pathway program and one is the Center program that help you to organize the classes that you take outside of your major in such a way that they reflect back to what fascinates you or interests you about your major, so that students are constantly thinking about unique connections between disciplines throughout their 4 years. So your first year seminar begins you on the journey of understanding a disciplinary approach, but broadened out towards interdisciplinary ideas. And then later you're going to take a course called a Conn course, which is another introductory course specific to a discipline, but deliberately designed to make connections from that discipline to other disciplines. And that sets students up to be able to begin to ask questions of how does what I am most fascinated by apply to other areas. And so by the end of senior year, we have a symposium in fall, every year in fall, where seniors who have been on pathways or who are in centers present the very unique research that they're doing that integrates their major with another area, such as public health or entrepreneurship or cities and schools or social justice. So, last year one I remember was a dance major who was also in the public health pathway. So she integrated her idea and goal of bringing dance to populations in a nursing home. So that sort of connection is really intentionally supported at Connecticut College in a way that's somewhat unique compared to other liberal arts colleges.
Great. I think we can move on to the next one. If maybe the students could talk about what are the freshman dorms like, and also I'll tag another question onto that. What's the dining situation?
Also, the freshmen live in a variety of different dorms on campus. Most freshmen live in a double with another roommate. I lived in a triple. It was awesome. I loved it. One of the girls was from California. We met before coming to Conn, and then we got paired with another girl, and it was awesome. It was a great experience. We all got along really well. And if you don't get along with your roommate, you're definitely able to switch, and there's lots of time to adjust where you're living. But yeah, we lived in a triple. It was a great size, and a lot of people live in doubles all around campus. And yeah, pretty basic, normal dorm living, but dorms are nice, everything's good, and yeah, I had a great time. So
yeah, predominantly our new students are all clustered together. We have a few buildings, so you've heard the term house. We call our what would be residence halls houses here, and that's kind of, again, unique to the community at Conn. But we have a number of houses that are all new students, so all first year students. And then we've got a few other pockets of first years that they're spread out. Some because they choose to live in, there might be an interest connected to that house. or that's, they're in another part of campus and they're on a floor or a pocket of first year. So we do work to concentrate our first years together so that we can, provide certain programming and things for our new students. Someone want to hit on the food really quick?
Yeah, I'd like to hit on the food. I actually debated saying that Harris was maybe one of my favorite places to hang out when you talked about that question earlier. But I think for me, I'm assuming the question about dining is more or less trying to get at, like, is the food good? Because that's the question that I always used to ask when I was touring. I actually like the food, and I think that most of my friends would agree with that. Sometimes they're like, oh, I'm getting sick of it. But at the end of the day, they're always clearing everything off their plates. Like, you could lick those things by the time they're done. There's a lot of different options that we have. My favorite meal is probably the chicken piccata that we have. There's also taco nights. We have an ice cream bar. I have kind of a sweet tooth, so our dessert bakery section is really good. The lemon cookies are good. Really anything with the dessert is good. We've got a little grill section where you can kind of bring up anything that you want and they'll cook it up for you. So you can take some spinach and a bunch of different stuff from the salad bar and then maybe grab a piece of grilled chicken and like a tortilla from the shelf and give it to the guy at the grill, and he chops it all up, grills it up, gives it to you. Scrambled eggs, omelets, really whatever your heart desires, you can probably find it in the dining hall. I think the advice that I give kids is if you don't like eating something at home because you don't like it and you try it at the dining hall, like, you're still probably going to not like it. So that might be an issue of where people are complaining about the food.
Yeah, the grill's amazing. I agree with that. I don't know if a lot of schools have that, but our grill's awesome. And the guys that work there are super helpful and they are good cooks. So I enjoy it.
Okay, so another question that's a common one that I see in here. How can you get involved in your first semester, making friends, feeling comfortable pretty, off the bat? I know that you talked a lot about the student advisor, but I think we have a couple of questions here about how to get involved and really feel like you're at home.
I will briefly hit on it and then let this maybe a student answer. So, regardless of where you end up, it takes a little bit of time. And what I think makes Conn unique is we help students get involved in a co-curricular. So you heard these 3 students rattle off the list of things they're involved in. And we didn't just pick 3 students that are heavily involved. That's just our student body. Students are involved in a lot of different things. So that's how I think folks make connections. As you're looking at schools and you're thinking about social life, one of the things that really helps drive our social involvement here is the groups that you're a part of. So, Megan's part of a athletic team, Ben's on some clubs, Priyanka's involved in a lot of areas. She also works on campus. And that's where people make connections. And so, we do an involvement fair where students can kind of go and meet all the various student leaders from all the different student organizations and get involved right off the bat. And I think that's something that really helps ease the transition for students.
Any
One of the
students want to
students want
follow
to
up on
answer?
that? Oh, yep, go ahead, Ben.
I can echo that. I think really that's more or less kind of what I was going to get at. I think for me, you sort of join one thing, like maybe you come in saying, this is one club that I really want to join. And you join the club, and the next thing you know, there's someone in that club, and they're like, oh, like, have you thought about doing this? And you're like, no, not really, but like, I guess I'll try it. And then you try it, and then you get in that club, and there's another student's like, tried this? Like, no, not really. And you're like, I guess I'll try it. And that's what happened to me, and that's how I sort of gotten involved in all the things that I've been involved in. And I think one of the other things that's kind of important to note, I think most of us here on this panel and most students here at Conn, once you start something your freshman year, there's not a whole lot of stopping it. Like, I think you kind of continue with that thing for the whole 4 years. And I guess for all of the things that I'm involved in, I've been doing it since I got here. And I think that speaks to how much people care about the clubs and how well run they are. And the clubs are run by students. So I think that kind of takes into account the sort of caliber of student that you have here at Conn.
Awesome. Another common question in here is, what are some of the things that you do off campus, outside of campus, that are unique to Conn's location here in New London?
Yeah, somebody mentioned this before, but we are really close to the beach, which is super fun. So I spend a lot of time there. A lot of my friends do as well. And it's a great place to just go and relax for the day when it's warm out. But yeah, in the beginning months, even when it's getting a little bit colder, it's still fun to bring food out there and yeah, it's convenient, it's close, it's in a good area, and it's just a nice place to go away from campus for a little bit, to switch it up. Even though the Green's also is my favorite place, but it's good to try something or do something else too. So I like to go to the beach.
Yeah, I would agree with Megan. Like, I really like the beach too here, and I always go there with my friends. And I'm this kind. I mean, I spent, I think, 3 of my summers here. I mean, all my summers on campus because I really like Conn, and especially when there's like not a lot of people because like it's just so beautiful. So whenever I'm here with my friends, during summer we'll just go to the beach, just spend hours and hours on the beach in New London, and that's really amazing. And we also have like a lot of nice restaurants in New London, so you can always go out to eat or get takeouts and stuff. And also we are very close, I mean halfway, New York City and Boston, so if you want a break from the like rural life, you can always go to the city, and yeah, during the weekend and stuff. So that's always great. We have a great location, to be honest, and I really like that.
Awesome, great. I think we have time for one, maybe two more questions. One question in here has to do with affinity groups. I'm thinking specifically maybe if you students could talk about the programming that falls under maybe the Division of Institutional Equity and Inclusion. So those different groups that focus on the question here specifically about race, but I think we can also tie in the gender and sexuality programming, religious programming, and if you could touch upon things like that.
Yeah, I can go. So under the DIA, I know we have we definitely have a lot of groups for like some like different interests, different cultures, religion, backgrounds, ethnicities. And my favorite is definitely so we have the, like as an international student, like we have the whole community of international students. So like we always spend time together, and we always do like a lot of different activities and have like host a lot of cultural events. But we also have Umoja on campus, like the school, the group for Black students on campus, and that is really nice. And we also have wanted to touch on something else. So we also have the Muslim Student Association on campus, which is also growing year by year, and that is really amazing. I'm not personally Muslim, but I would always do all my, like always hang out with a group of Muslim students on campus with the association. We'll always get food together. We'll always like listen to music together and like watch movies together. So that's great. And also like I know we also have Asia on campus for Asian students and also South Asian students. And there's like a lot of international students who are part of this club too. So that is amazing. Yes, and yeah, I think that's all that I can remember right now, but yeah.
Awesome, great. I think, Jeff, unless you have a specific way you want to end the session, we can just go with one last question. And I think there's one, maybe a good closer. I think one way we could go about this is if each of the students says one positive attribute about Conn and also one negative, maybe something that they would change about Conn.
That's a hard one.
It's a good one though. I guess I can start. I have a whole I guess kind of a list for both, which I actually think is a good thing because I think it means, and I think a lot of people can relate to that, I think it means people care. One of the ones that I sometimes complain about, we don't have an indoor track in our field house. Not that I like to run, and I'm actually like not a good runner. It hurts my shins, and it's just like an awful thing. But sometimes it's the winter time, and I'm like, maybe I should go for a run, and I get down there, and I'm like, but like we have a track that's right on the water, so you can run around that and do that, which is way better. We also have treadmills. But for some reason that kind of just grinds my gears a little bit. I think, was it supposed to say positive with that or, yeah. I think the positive is we've all kind of touched on it. So I guess it's a little bit redundant at this point, but I'm just going to say it. I think it's how active students are involved on campus, because at the end of the day, if you're on a campus where there's like a group of involved students, then you kind of have a group of students who are like running the school doing all the things. But when you have so many students who want to get involved, it kind of makes it so that students are involved in the things that they want to be involved in, and they care about those things. So you have students who are really involved in what they really care about, instead of having just the students that want to get involved and they're doing a whole flurry of different things. So I guess the involvement and how easy it is to get involved.
I've said it before, but my favorite thing about Conn is the fact that I can walk down the main area and know a ton of people. I think that's really important and unique to Conn, especially to the small school situation. So that's something that's my favorite part. My least favorite part is that I get really cold, but that's just because I'm not used to the cold weather, then I can't control that. But yeah, I really like Conn. I wouldn't change very much.
So for me, one of my favorite things here is like, I don't know, like there's like people coming from all over the place, all over the US, all over the world. And it's just so amazing to meet people who are different than me. So I learned a lot from my international friends and also from my American friends. And I just found that this is really amazing. And also something that I don't really like is obviously the cold weather. And I agree with you, Megan. Like I'm not used to that at all. And I'm still getting used to it, but yeah. So.
Awesome, cool. Well, I'm really sorry we couldn't get to everyone's questions. There are so many, which is awesome. Everyone who's attended this panel has some really great questions to ask, but I encourage you, if your question was not asked, reach out to the admission office. You can easily find us on the website. We'd be happy to connect and answer more of your questions, but otherwise, thank you so much for joining us today. Definitely check out the events for the rest of the week if you're not signed up. And Megan, Priyanka, and Ben, thank you so much. This was really, really wonderful and super helpful. Again, thank you for joining us.
Good night, everyone.